بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين جل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علمك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of 40 hadith, and today inshallah we start hadith 19, which is about GHIBAH, about backbiting. The main hadith is the hadith with which we begin, but there are many other hadiths about GHIBAH that Imam Khomeini mentions here. بسندي المتصل إلى ثقة الإسلام والمسلمين محمد بن يعقوب الكليني رضوان الله تعالى عليه. Through my own chain of narration, which is connected to Sheikh Kulayni. You know, the title of Sheikh Kulayni was Thiqatul Islam, which means a person who is trusted, especially when you say Thiqatul Islam or Hujjatul Islam, they literally mean someone that is trusted by Islam, someone that is the Hujjah for Islam, and wal Muslimin. Now, Thiqatul Islam is used as a title in the hawzas normally for the very junior talaba, but in the past it used to be very, very high position, so we use it for Sheikh Kulayni rahmatullah alayh. So Sheikh Kulayni rahmatullah alayh, according to this chain that Imam Khomeini has up to Sheikh Kulayni, narrates from Ali ibn Ibrahim, from his father Ibrahim ibn Hashim, from Nawfali, from Sakuni, from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that Messenger of God said, الغيبة أسرع في دين الرجل المسلم من الأكلة في جوفه or من الآكلة في جوفه. قال وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله الجلوس في المسجد انتظار الصلاة عبادة ما لم يحدث. قيل يا رسول الله وما يحدث؟ قال الاغتياب. Sakuni narrates from Imam Sadiq that he quoted this hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the ghiba, backbiting, is faster in damaging faith of someone, a Muslim, man or woman, than the illness of aklah. It's a type of illness that the body starts eating itself, and especially the internal side of the body, which is very sensitive. So if we want to compare ghiba with this illness, not only it's like that, it is actually faster in damaging someone's faith. It from inside eats and consumes and damages the faith if someone backbites. So it shows that it's such a fundamental sin that from very deep inner self, starts damaging our iman. Also, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is quoted as saying, if someone is sitting in masjid waiting for salat, this is ibadah. Not only saying your salat in masjid is ibadah, even if you are there early or imam is late for any reason, you are waiting in the masjid, just waiting, sitting. If you do some recitation, of course this is ibadah, but just sitting and doing nothing, sitting and waiting for salat in masjid, it's ibadah. But as long as lam yuhdith, as long as he doesn't commit any hadath. Hadath, as you know, is something that breaks tahara. In fact, we have hadath asqar and hadath akbar. Minor hadath, which breaks wuzu. Major hadath, which breaks taharat akbar, you need ghusl. For example, if someone sleeps, he can just make a wuzu. But if someone becomes junub, he has to make ghusl. So, if someone is sitting in masjid waiting for salat, he is doing ibadah, provided he doesn't start doing GHIBAH. Says, okay, now the person next to me, he is also waiting, and we start talking about people who are not present and say bad things about them, do GHIBAH of them. So this is, of course, not acceptable. But if they do nothing, or if they speak about nice things, it's ibadah because they are waiting for salat. After quoting these two hadith, Imam Khomeini first mentions something about the meaning of GHIBAH. And he says that according to Al-Jawhari, one of the famous books on Al-Lugha is Sihah al-Lugha by Jawhari. He says, اغتابه اغتيابا إذا وقع فيه والاسم الغيبة. When someone talks about someone in a negative and destructive way, this is called اغتابة. And then he explained, he says, أن يتكلم خلف إنسان مستور بما يغمه لو سمعه. GHIBAH, according to the definition of Jawhari, is to speak about someone in his absence. خلف إنسان means he is not there. This is why we say backbiting. So to speak about someone in his absence, but it has more conditions. إنسان مستور, it must be a person who is covered, means someone whose sins are not done publicly. He is not mutahattik, he is mutasattir, he is mastur, he is someone who is covered and tries to protect himself. Because there are careless people that, na'udhu billah, they commit sins in the public and they don't care. This is not GHIBAH if you say the same thing that they are careless about. Yes, if there is something that they cover, you should not disclose it. But someone, na'udhu billah, in public drinks khamr, it doesn't bother about this. If you say this, this is not GHIBAH. But if someone is mastur, he's covered, means someone who is very sensitive about this issue. It is true that he commits sin, maybe you know that, but he is not that bad that he doesn't care. He feels embarrassed if people know about this. So we should not disclose this. So أن يتكلم خلف إنسان مستور بما يغمه لو سمعه. To speak behind a person who is covered something that would make him sad if he hears. So you say something about this person that if he comes to know that you told this, he becomes sad. As I said, there are people who are careless, they don't bother. And if you tell something and they hear about it, they don't bother. This is not غيبة. فَإِنْ كَانَ صَدْقًا. If what you say and this person suppose if he hears, he doesn't need to hear, but if he hears, he becomes sad. If this is true, this is called غيبة. But if what has been said, which would make him sad if he realizes, is كذب, سمي بهتانا. It is called بهتان. So the difference between غيبة and بهتان is that بهتان is false, like accusation. You say something about someone that if he hears, he becomes sad, and it's not true. If it is true, it is غيبة, and still it is a major sin. Of course, if it is بهتان, the sin is even greater than غيبة. Allama Majlisi rahmatullah alayhi says this is the literal meaning of غيبة because it is in Sahahul Luqa, and Johari normally gives the literal meaning. But Imam Khomeini says this seems to be technical meaning of غيبة. It seems that Johari has gone beyond the literal meaning and has entered the fiqhi meaning of غيبة, which seems to be the case. Of course, maybe fuqaha have more details about the definition of غيبة, but this is not the literal meaning of غيبة, because غاب يغيب and اغتاب literally may be more than saying such words about someone. Because غاب يغيب means to be absent, and اغتاب means perhaps to say something or to be in a condition when someone is absent. In any case, there are also other definitions meant. For example, in Misbah al-Munir, which is another book of Lugha, Fayyumi says, اغتابه إذا ذكره بما يكرهه من العيوب وهو حق. Backbiting means to say something that someone dislikes, which is uyub, one of the faults, one of the imperfections, deficiencies of a person. You say about him, وَهُوَ حَقٌ, and it is true. He has really this problem, but you should not say it. Okay. Whatever is the literal meaning is not that much important, because the main thing is to understand what we mean in Shara, in religion, by غيبة, and what is the ruling of fiqh about غيبة. This is the main thing for us. And of course, in 40 hadiths, what Imam Khomeini tries to explain is the moral ugliness of غيبة. So although we know it is haram, but we want to know how much damage it's causing to our morality and piety. So the first chapter here is about definition of غيبة. There are different definitions given because it's an ijtihadi issue, but he refers to what the late Shahid Thani, second martyr. Shahid Thani, he has many books. He is the commentator on Al-Lum'ah. He has the book Musakkin al-Fu'ad, Comforter of the Heart, and the Faqd al-Ahibbat wal-Awlad. He also has a book about غيبة. It's called Kashf al-Riba. So in this book, he says there are two definitions for ghibah. The first, which is common and famous among the fuqaha, among jurists, is this. Please listen carefully to his definition, because very technical. هو ذكر الإنسان حال غيبته بما يكره أو حال غيبته بما يكره نسبته إليه. هو ذكر الإنسان, to mention a person, a human being. حال غيبته, when he is absent. بما يكره نسبته إليه, to say about him, to mention him with something that he doesn't like to be attributed to him. مما يعد نقصانا في العرف. And this is something that, according to the urf, according to the public opinion, it is considered as a deficiency. Maybe, for example, someone is very mu'min, he doesn't like his good actions to be known by people. For example, he does Salatul Layl, he doesn't want people to know about this. According to this definition, although when you say he becomes sad, but this is not ghibah, because it has to be something that urf considered to be nuqsan, to be deficiency, not something good that he wants to hide. So, مما يعد نقصانا في العرف. It should be something that people consider deficiency, not something which is good or something which is morally neutral. For example, to use glasses, it's neutral, it's not something deficiency, it's not something that urf says this is a problem. Many people have use glasses. Sometimes even people use glasses to make themselves look better. So this is not a kind of deficiency according to urf. But if there is a society in which, for example, having glasses or a stick, using a stick, for example, is bad, and if someone doesn't want people to know that he uses glasses, then you should not say it. So it depends on the urf. مما يعد نقصانا في العرف, something that, according to the public opinion, is considered to be deficiency, plus he adds another condition, بقصد الانتقاص والذم. The intention of the speaker is also to blame him. Sometimes you say something bad, but you don't have any bad intention. Either you said it carelessly, or in your opinion, this was okay. People consider it to be bad. But sometimes you yourself mention this to lower the position of this person in the society. So, according to this definition, what is said has to be taken by society as a negativity, plus your intention also must be to damage that person. Of course, later we would say that this may not be needed. And it seems that even if someone doesn't have the intention of damaging and blaming, just the fact that he mentions something that that person doesn't like to be said and it is negative in the society, it's enough to be ghibah. It seems this condition is not necessary, and therefore don't say my niyyah was good, I didn't mean to harm him. No. if you say something that people take it negative, whether you had bad intention or not, it's enough. When you disclose someone's secrets, your intention can just make your fault more, but cannot, save you from responsibility and say, oh, I didn't mean it, or I didn't, want to harm him, or I just forgot and mentioned this. You have damaged him, you have ruined him. So this is one definition, although we have disagreements with this definition, but it's very technical, well-known, well-established definition. And the second definition is at-tanbihu ala ma yakrahu nisbatahu ilay, up to the end. Instead of dhikrul insan, instead of saying, mentioning him, talking about him, at-tanbih, to inform people about something that he doesn't like to be associated with. The difference between this definition and the previous one is that this is more general because it also includes ghibah by gesture. Sometimes you say something and it's ghibah. Sometimes with your eyes or finger or body gesture, you damage someone. Like a case that we have, that one of the wives of the Prophet, after a lady left and she was short, by hand or gesture pointed to the shortness of this woman, and Rasulullah said that remove the flesh, the meat from your teeth, from your mouth. We will mention this hadith. So this shows that it doesn't need to be by words, by tongue. It can be by gesture. So it doesn't need to be dhikr by tongue. So these are definitions of ghibah, and inshallah, after mentioning hadith, it becomes more clear. But since this is a practical issue, people should refer here to their maraji and ask their maraji about definition of ghibah and also the tawbah for ghibah. Because as we mentioned, ghibah is haqqun nas as well, and according to many hadiths, it needs forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the person that God forbids we have committed ghibah of them. According to some maraji, if they have not heard about this, there is no need to ask them for forgiveness. Or in general, there is no need. Some say there is need. So what is ghibah and what is the way to be forgiven? You should ask your maraji. So our discussion here would not replace the fatwa of marja, although we discuss in a way that helps to understand fiqh position and moral position as well. Let me read for you 1-2 more hadiths and leave it inshallah for the next session, because we don't want to rush, and the main thing is these hadiths should remain in our mind for 1, 2, 3 weeks, so that inshallah they settle in our mind and heart. There is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that in an advice to Abu Dhar, Rasulullah said something about ghibah that it is very important for us. في وصية النبي صلى الله عليه وآله لأبي ذر رضوان الله عليه. In the list of the advice that Rasulullah gave to Abu Dhar, there is something which is about ghibah. Abu Dhar said, قلت يا رسول الله ما الغيبة? I asked the Messenger of God, what is ghibah? He told me, ذكرك أخاك بما يكره. To mention your brother with something that he doesn't like. قلت يا رسول الله فإن كان فيه الذي يذكر به. What if it is in him actually what he is mentioned with? What we told about him, it's actually there. Is this still غيبة? قال, then Rasulullah said, اعلم, be aware, إنك إذا ذكرته بما هو فيه فقد اغتبته. If you mention him with something that it's in him, you have committed غيبة. وَإِذَا ذَكَرْتَهُ بِمَا لَيْسَ فِيهِ. But if you mention him with something that it's not there in him, فَقَدْ بَحَتَّهُ. Then you have done buhtan, you have falsely accused him, and this will be of course much worse. In another hadith, Rasulullah asked, هَلْ تَدْرُونَ مَا الْغِيبَةِ. He asked his companions, those who were there, do you know what is غيبة? فقالوا الله ورسوله أعلم. Allah and his messenger know better. Then Rasulullah said, ذكرك أخاك بما يكره. To mention your brother with something that he doesn't like. Say something about him that he doesn't like. So this is a hadith that also clarifies the meaning of غيبة. Inshallah, we continue this discussion in the next session, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very humbly and with really desperate condition to save us from GHIBAH, because with this carelessness, whatever we have done, whatever hasanat, if we have any hasanat, can be damaged and ruined. Our iman can be ruined, and unfortunately it's a sin which is easy to get involved, and it is a sin that unfortunately many times there is not that much public sensitivity about this. There are sins that if you do in public you feel embarrassed. If you do, other people will blame you. But unfortunately, sometimes GHIBAH has become neutral, and if someone does GHIBAH, other people don't mind, or even they continue. So it's a bad type of sin because it's easy to get into it, and it is not that much publicly blamed and criticized. It's a very difficult type of sin. And may Allah, inshallah, save us from this. No one should feel immune. And we are all vulnerable, and we must be very, very careful. And one of the rights that we have over each other is to help each other in not getting into GHIBAH. May Allah, inshallah, help us and forgive us. وآخر دعوانا الحمد